going on? Back. We are back on the Prize Fight Podcast. Co-hosts Brent Hall and Spencer Dickey. We are back talking about all things mental. No, I'm just kidding. We're just sharing some ways to fight through life, the journey ahead, and we've been talking about on the last episode. We talked about how we are beginning. A lot of people are beginning this thing called Sober October, and it looks different for a lot of people. I've been really listening up on some other people and what their experiences is, and some of it has to do with staying clear of alcohol, staying clear of all this other stuff. Sobriety is really about cleansing. Really, it's about purging out the stuff that is hindering life at that time. And some people, they'll, like I said, October might be the month that they do a lot of stuff to do that. But then for a lot of people, it's a ongoing process. And so that's kind of why we're having this conversation. Me and Spencer are having this conversation today to kind of tail end the first part of this. But Spencer, in your estimation, you go through sobriety and stuff, and you're struggling, and what does that process look like? I mean, that's really that's the question I had.
Yeah, so I feel like when if just looking back from my experience, my walk, I feel like I did everything backwards.
Yeah.
And I feel like I did everything. I feel like I did everything that they tell you not to do, to where I self-isolated. Which is like, you don't ever want to do that.
Yeah, that's probably one of the worst things you could do, probably.
I know, but that's what I did.
Yeah.
Because I felt so embarrassed, ashamed. I was focused on not really wanting to tempt myself or add any temptation with really, like we said, in the first episode, going out to a bar. Could I have gone and not drank? Probably.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to give myself that temptation, I guess. And so I looking back this whole time, I feel like I did everything backwards. I wanted to do everything on my own.
Yeah.
I went to I did go see a counselor and talked about a few things to kind of jumpstart that and try to get really focused and hyper focused on what was to come.
Yeah.
But looking back,
was it your choice to go to the counselor, or was somebody like, "Hey, you might want to do this"?
Yeah, no. It was my choice. It was.
Sorry, I'm having a little guest.
Hey, what's up? We got another co-host.
The joys of doing this at home.
Yeah, okay. That's cool.
All right, sorry about that.
No, you're great. No, you don't have to apologize. Yeah. I had already developed a relationship with a provider here in town, with a counselor.
Yeah.
That she and I really clicked. It was, faith-based, but yet not churchy.
Yeah.
And she just really seemed to really understand what I was going through, because she had, experienced the same circumstances in her life many years ago. So, so that was my choice to stay in contact with her, and some of it was just phone calls.
Yeah.
And ironically, I still, it's been a couple of years, but I would still call her. I used to have to commute for work, and I would call her every once in a while to run things by her, still to this day, it was my choice to keep her involved every once in a while, kind of check in.
Yeah. Gotcha. So, from there, from that process, where did you go from there? Go and see a counselor, and, you went from self-isolation to coming to this. Really, you're going to a stranger, but to me, going through the same thing, and I still go to this day, it helps to me, someone that has talked to other people that have gone through it, but they don't know your specific thing, and so you're able to get all the stuff out that you can't. I mean, let's be honest, we can't say everything to everyone, even the closest people that we are too. So I mean, I don't know what she addressed that made you go, okay, what's the next step for this? So
Yeah. Again, I think mine is not, it wasn't the 12 steps. It wasn't jump into group, which later on I did.
Yeah.
Again, ironically, I did everything backwards.
Yeah.
I think I started going to AA meetings and celebration recovery, even I think 2 years into sobriety instead of 2 days,
Yeah.
which right
You're
now,
supposed to.
me having gone through that, I would say this is what we need to do. If somebody came to me right now and said, "What do I do?"
Yeah.
And after we talked, I would say, get involved with a group because there are so many people out there that are battling the same things as you are.
Yeah.
One reason why I liked her because I had been to a couple of different counselors, but the one thing that I still talk about to this day and believe in with all my heart is I believe in talking to a counselor that has been through something that you have been through,
Yeah. Absolutely.
not just somebody that has, no offense to anybody out there listening, but not. I don't believe in going to see somebody that has just gone through school, went to class, got a little piece of paper, took a test, and now they have initials behind their name.
Yeah.
That I've been in the same room as some of those people, and I'm like, you have no clue. They just have no clue.
Yeah.
And
I was going to say some of my best teachers in school. I went to tech for psychology, and some of my best teachers were some that have gone through, like my addictions class was someone that had gone through addiction. And so, like, they just know how to deal with that situation.
It's night and day,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
It's night and day.
Yes.
It just really is. In business, they tell you, if you want to be a millionaire, then surround yourself with millionaires,
Yeah.
right? If you want to be a billionaire, that's what they tell you in business,
Yeah.
right? And so we should kind of take that into our own personal walk too, to where if we want to have a certain goal, whether that be sobriety or owning, X, Y, and Z, well, then surround yourself with those people and talk to those people that already have what you want and what you're trying to achieve. And I feel like that helped a lot because she could literally speak to it and say, hey, I know what you're going to. I know you've been sober for 73 days and 14 hours, right? And I know what you're feeling right now. I've been waiting on that court date just like you, and I know what kind of mind that is to where you're kind of antsy and you can't sleep because you're so worried about what might happen to you. And, some of those guys are going to be like, well, just pray about it. And I'm like, okay. They'll give you the Sunday school answer.
Yeah.
And they really can't speak to it.
Yeah.
So that's why I really chose to keep her, kind of on the back burner, just as somebody I could speak with, because when I did choose to go sober, I lost everybody.
Yeah.
I was no longer partaking in those practices in social hour, and so I really lost all my quote unquote friends, and the friends that I did have, I disappointed and made mad, and they left on their own, which they should have, and that's fine. And so, I was alone, and which it worked out for me because, going back when I made that decision I was in a jail cell when I made that decision, right?
Yeah.
And we've been over that.
Yeah.
I made that decision, and then once you make that decision, then it's time to go to work, right? It's time to change your habits, change your ways, change your mindset, and it was tough some days.
Yeah.
But I had a couple of friends that would come and hang out, and we would watch silly movies, and I think we even tried to bake. I don't know, but just things to keep it non-alcoholic,
Yeah.
no drugs, no alcohol, no bars,
Yeah.
and fast forward maybe a year and a half, 2 years. I would go to some meetings, and it felt good.
Yeah.
It felt good. In the beginning, I thought I was the only person in Lubbock, Texas, going through this.
Yeah.
And I was so ashamed and so embarrassed, which I should have been.
Yeah.
For some of the actions that I did.
But I think that's where you were talking about. It's so important. Like when you're going through something of tragedy, whatever it looks like, and for your case, it was all this situation. It's so important to understand the depths of how community can help, because like you said, you start off this whole process by being alone, or being and feeling alone at the same time during this whole thing, and thinking, and most people do this, most people think that they're the only ones that are in it or are going through it. And you don't fully understand until you're with a community of people, even if it's one other, like you could be in a whole big crowd of a lot of people, but there's this one person in that crowd that's similar. Like working in a church, I think that's the funniest thing. People come in and they'll go, well, you don't know what I've done. And I'm like, yeah, we do. Like we have either gone through it or we have been around people that have gone through the same thing. And people always walk into communities thinking that. And the funny thing is, it's where they're supposed to be, because there is somebody, there is that person, there is those people. That's why it's so funny. Like even CrossFit, I'm just using an example. It's such a big hype kind of deal now, because they find that thing, and it's not just the workout. The workout is like the entrance into that place where all these people are going through this thing, and a lot of it. And I'm not bashing on CrossFit. I'm not bashing on the people of it. I'm not saying this at all. I'm saying a lot of what people are fighting through are insecurities to be better. And I think that's just not for CrossFit. That is for most communities, that we are working through these spaces of insecurities in us, that we are trying to find a place where we're not alone in that. Like you're saying, that journey of getting through this spot to get down the road more. So
right.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. So you started doing that, and then like what's obviously the beginning is always the hardest. Was there any time in the middle? You told us on here 14 years. Is there any time in the middle?
Years? Yeah.
Yeah. So, has there been any of the middle part that's been the hardest, or what is the hardest aspect of going through that? Like, I would think that it'd probably get a little easier, but that's not to say,
Ooh, I don't. Staying sober away from drugs and alcohol, yeah, easy. Like 2 + 2 is 4, easy. To me, easy.
Yeah.
Because I truly believe all of us humans, whether it's staying sober or wanting to be sober or battling XYZ or overcoming these huge problems, I believe that overcoming those problems are easy.
Yeah.
It's the choice that you want, that person has to make themselves, right?
Yeah.
Mom can't make it for you. Dad can't make it for you. Your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your youth pastor, your counselor. Nobody can do it for you.
Yeah.
That person has to make that decision to want to stop and become better. Right?
Absolutely.
So to answer the question, does it get easier or is it hard? Staying sober is easy. Not wanting to partake in drugs and alcohol and all that nonsense that comes with it, all the ancillary activities that come with it, is easy. Like it's easy. What I struggle with personally, and what is hard is forgiving yourself.
Yeah.
And trying to not beat yourself up for the way you acted 14, 15, 16 years ago.
Yeah.
right? And it's that's what I find as tough every day, because at times, and it's ironic for me to say, because I mean, you've been around me. I'm a pretty positive person.
Yeah.
I believe in God. Am I perfect? Hell no. No, I'm not. I'm not perfect. Do I want to be better every day? Yeah. Because I feel like I have a lot of people um, depending on me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're good.
Give me a second.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good. Well, no, I mean, and that I think that's the hardest thing, and I know we've had lots of conversations, and I think one of the biggest thing is understanding that as you grow older and as you're put in certain positions, there's more. There's more asked of you, but there's also you learning how that some of the rights that you thought you had, you give up as you grow older, and the people that surround you. I mean, I'm taking a place from just being a parent. There's a lot of things that, like, I just can't. Not that I did it before, but there's a lot of things that I can't do, and I give up rights to say, well, I have a right to do this, but I don't, because I have two young ones at home that depend on me for whatever it may be. And I think there's people that still live a life, and that's really what I wanted to ask, is that, take for instance somebody that can't get over the glory days of high school, and you probably have ran into them. I've ran into them, and I even had this conversation today. I said, I enjoyed high school just fine. Do I want to go back? Absolutely not. I'm good. I've enjoyed every season. I didn't like. I would say I did not like my mid-20s, but other than that, I loved everything else. But even through that, there's no time that I'm be like, hey, I want to be 18 again, or hey, I want to be. And I think there's people that even at that, they remember those good times so well that they look at their life now and go, well, this is horrible. I didn't get to go out and A, B, and C it. And that's one of the questions that I have. It's not so much like what you were doing, but do you even miss like the experience around it, or the good time? You know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of people, there's a lot of people that struggle with that.
Environment. Yeah. At times, people, I've heard some counselors try to break it down to where, well, you're not addicted to the substance, it's the environment, it's the culture, it's the loud noises, it's the smells, it's the music, it's the friends, within the bar setting or a house party setting or a tailgate or whatever. I've heard more than one counselor say that, well, you're addicted to, the environment. No, man. Really love the way this stuff tastes, and it's not good.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Right? It's just I really don't miss any of that. I look back, even. I guess the reason why I don't feel like I missed anything, or I would love to go back to something, is because I feel like I haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
I truly feel in my heart I haven't even arrived yet to figure out and to be who I'm supposed to be, and to perform in the way I'm supposed to perform. I don't. I'm very grateful that I have learned what I've learned, and I've been through what I've been through.
Yeah.
Both professionally and in this walk in life. But I don't ever think about the quote unquote good old days and say, man, I wish I could go back, because I don't think I was ever truly happy.
Yeah.
And what might have been part of my problem is I wasn't happy, and I was trying to escape from that life to try to figure myself out. And I obviously took it too far, and here I am. But I don't ever, even in work, I feel like I've accomplished quote unquote a lot, and I'm very happy. But that was last week, right? I mean, that's cool. And so now on Monday, you got to show up and you got to be better than you were last week, So now I don't ever really miss that, miss anything. But the tough part is knowing that I disappointed my family, disappointing my friends and not understanding that I have a lot of people depending on me. Um, period.
Yeah.
You know, and now that I know that, I am so much more grateful and aware, and that is why I fight. And because I figured out that it's not about me and me doing that stuff in my younger days. Um, it was so selfish.
Yeah.
It was so selfish, and that's probably what remains tough.
Yeah.
And and we both know the Sunday school answer. Well, God and Jesus forgave you the moment, that you repented, in the moment that you said, I'm sorry, and we understand that.
Yeah.
And don't, the Sunday school answer is, don't put a question mark, or God puts a period or a comma, right? And I know all that. We know all that, and you and I can quote that, and we can give devos on that all day long. But me being honest and transparent, it's tough.
Yeah.
And that's the. It's not about the booze and the drugs or the lifestyle. It's that's something I battle with every day. And I think you've been, you and I have talked about it.
Yeah.
On Fridays at our lunches.
Yeah.
It's and I don't know if I might have been a little bit down or whatever, and it's tough.
Yeah.
That's the part.
Yeah.
For me.
So this may be a loaded question, but
No.
you're talking about like being at a point in life where you're still, we're in our 40s, which is crazy, but but still feeling like at a place, and I know we have had this conversation off podcast that both of us went through going through a season where you're like, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? And I think people go through that all the time. But what I was going to ask you is, you were saying, about going through all of this in your life and stuff. Do you feel this derailed for so long what you feel like you were supposed to be, or do you feel like you needed this in order to understand that I there is something more for me? Like, I don't know. Did one go with the other, or did the other, did the other kind of spur on that? Is it like, did this further, like, dadgummit, like, if I would have figured this out earlier, I would have already been on this path, or did I need this to understand
I
that?
think that's the easy thing to say, right?
Yeah.
We can live it, right? And I think, that pisses me off a lot. It really does. It makes me mad, because I'm like, man, I was such an idiot for so long, and now I always feel behind.
Yeah.
And I do. I constantly feel behind.
Yeah.
But then you look at it, you and I both believe in God, and then I look at it, well, I believe that we do go through things for a purpose.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that the good that comes from this bad is more than me. I believe that when God saves you, He has other people in mind. I believe that, and although I'm not where I want to be at the moment, I know it'll come in time. I have faith that I'm going to get everything that I want and that I'm going to work for. I just have that much faith.
Yeah.
One, because I feel like I'm a walking testimony to where, if you don't believe in God, just come talk to me and let me tell you how my life was, and hopefully you believe then. Two, what was my second part to that?
I don't know.
Oh man, I go off. I start rambling. Sorry guys, for everybody listening. The question was, do I feel like it's too far gone? No, I don't. But I do get mad at myself for being stuck with this for so long.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it takes us a lifetime to get to that thing. I mean, it doesn't
I'm
matter.
very grateful. Now, here's something that might sound awkward. I'm very grateful that I went through that at that age.
Yeah.
Because I've been in some classes that the judge makes you go to. That there are some older people in there
Yeah.
that are just waking up just like I did,
Yeah.
but are older than me,
Yeah.
right? I'm not saying, oh, I'm better than them because I figured out that I can't handle alcohol and drugs at an earlier age. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I'm very grateful that I was able to wake up and smell the coffee at that age
Yeah.
instead of at 51 or
Yeah.
instead of at 61.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that sometimes the longer it's derailed, the longer you start to believe that that's what your life. I mean, that's what you're going to do the rest of your life. That's who you are, and that's what you're going to be, and nothing ever changes for that aspect. And so you're just you've accepted that role, like you said. It's I think you said in another podcast that it's not only easy, it's easy
Yeah.
to do that. I mean, obviously, I hate to say it, but it's also lazy. I mean, we don't
Yeah.
we sometimes don't want to put in the effort to change. I know for me for a long time, I would be, my wife would probably attest that I was probably depressed and being in so bad of health, and every day it would be like I know what to do to change. I just don't have the motivation to do it.
Right.
And like that went on for a long time, um, because I just, we all, like you said, we have the answers, we have all the stuff in front of us to know, hey, we don't do this, we don't do that. But the truth of the matter is it's more of setting your mind to go, okay, enough's enough, this is how it's going to be from now on, and go forward in that. Yeah, it's going to be hard, it's not supposed to be easy. If it was easy, there would be no people struggling.
Yeah.
If it was an easy thing to do, not many people there. We would have no motivational speakers out there or whatever, because everybody would be perfect and everybody could do it. And so
I remember feeling, I remember being that there were some times when I did give up and when I did feel like God didn't want to have anything to do with me. And I did feel like I can almost right now remember some of the looks that some of the people gave me when I was intoxicated and acted certain ways, and just feeling that judgment and seeing their glares and all that. And I feel like I did allow that to keep me down and stay in that role longer than what I probably knew better to, because I did give up a couple of times. I did give up a couple of times before I snapped out of it, and it's so I feel like personally, is it easy to do that and just stay that and just be the town drunk in the movie? Yeah. Is it? Yeah, it is. Is it lazy? Yes. Is it selfish? Yes. Is it also hard at times? Yeah.
yeah,
But that's when we said before. It's making that decision,
yeah,
making that choice to snap out of it and realize that no, God's not mad at you. He loves you. He's not running away. He's running towards you. Right. The prodigal son. I can really relate to the prodigal son.
yeah,
We're in the Bible a lot. I also feel like at times people may not know what to do or who to reach out to or who to ask for if they do decide to make that decision. And so that might cause them to just keep on doing what they're doing, and that's painful as well. I've seen a little bit of that, yeah.
yeah. It makes me wonder, because I know that this is me and learning a lot of things over the last couple of years. Is that, like, I think a lot of times when we are struggling and going through hard times, we paint a picture of who God is, because I mean, across the board, we do it in reference to His people, so Christians, whatever, and doing that, a lot of times we think that there's a certain mold. There's like, hey, it's just like this, and if it's not like this, and you're not acting exactly like this, and doing A, B, and C, then God Himself does not take you into the fold. He is not in your corner. And so we start to believe that, okay, if I don't look like Joe Schmo over there that's been going to church all his life and acts like this, then not only am I not one of Jesus's sons, through the blood of Jesus, but I'm going to be shunned by Him Himself because I'm not living this thing. And I will say this: I've been there. I've been the one that felt like, okay, I've got to fall in the mold, and also if others don't, I'm gonna be like, well, they're not, But to me, it's been such a transformation for me to go, you know, this is biblically what it says, and it for the journey itself looks so different from everybody else, and so we've got to be very careful in how we help each other navigate that, especially people that go to church, because I know for me, I mean, you talk about feeling sorry and apologizing for things you did. One of the biggest things that I feel like I've had over the last 4 or 5 years, feel like I've had to apologize for feeling as if I was judging others for that, and learning how to work through it myself, going, they're on this as like I am, and I'm acting like I'm sinless, and I'm far from it. I'm doing stuff every day.
That sparks up a memory that I have early on in my walk when I was starting to have a problem.
Yeah.
And acting silly. It's funny you said that. So it takes me back to the beginning. I hadn't quit drinking. I was drinking. I was not behaving appropriately, and I was attending. I don't want to call anybody out on this, but I was attending a local university here in Lubbock. And their name has the word Christian in their name, but I don't want to call them out.
Yeah.
And they recognized that I was having an issue.
Yeah.
And I wasn't fitting into the
which, let's just pause for a second. Almost every single person I've talked to from that university goes through the same thing. So anyway. You should have been like the corner.
Just sound off, but
regardless,
might have hate mail.
Yeah.
So at this university in Lubbock that has the word Christian in their name, I was called into a guy's office and said, "Hey, we're hearing this and blah blah blah, and we don't think you're fitting in. We don't think you fit. You're not fitting into our box here at this school." And I was like, oh okay. So I think we agreed more than once to kindly part ways, and be dismissed from that university. And ironically, the secular university right down 19th, which I love, and that's where I got my undergrad from, Texas Tech University, not only welcomed me with open arms, they also said, if you're having some issues, which it looks like you are, we have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, for resources that we want to help you make some changes if you're open to it,
Yeah.
And that was, fast forward a couple more years, that was one of the groups and classes that I attended. They have this huge recovery thing at Texas Tech University that is nationally known. It's huge.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was so ironic that this Lubbock University with the Christian name in it would recognize that, and instead of saying, "Hey, you're acting stupid. You don't fit into this mold. You're not like us. You have to leave."
Yeah.
We would all think that they would be the first ones to say, "Hey, let's talk about A, B, and C and see what we can do to maybe help you out here before before asking me to leave. But no, they just asked me to go ahead and make an early exit. So I did, and it's just so ironic, and so that's what kind of, which to me it's
but wouldn't you say listen, 22 years of working in church, I love churches. They are dysfunctional, and I still love them. I've never been in one that there's not something or issues or but yet I love them, and I think they're a help to most people. But I would also say that you could walk into a lot of them and see that it's a facade. It is more of a, we got to present this thing in front of everyone else to say that we're well put together. How you doing, brother? Good, always good. Nobody's ever going to say, hey, how's your week? Oh, it's great, it's the best week. They're not going to say, you know what, my A, B, and C, all these things, crazy things happen. I need prayer. They're not going to be telling people their stuff, even though half the time you can easily find out those things through Facebook or whatever. So you're not hiding anything, especially like in small towns like what I live in right now. It doesn't take long for you to find out from somewhere something's going on. But it's more about facade instead of, hey, this place should be a community that treats one another like it's a hospital, and we take care of our own, and we really help people move along down the road instead of having them in the ditch just sitting there as we walk off and say, hey, we're going and we look this part, so sorry about you.
Right.
And I do believe to a degree, and we've talked about this before, I think there's only so much you can do for some people. You can only do so much, but because they, like you said, like we've talked about, you have to choose that. You have to mentally I have to do this. But I think for the most part, we have a lot of, and I think for me personally, in my opinion, that's where we kind of fall down as churches and Christians and stuff like that, is that we can't understand that, again, giving up rights of being selfish and going, hey, we see this need that we really want to help this person take care of, but yet if I really do that, I'm getting out of my norm and what I look like instead of being a servant. Just like the story of Jesus washing the disciples' feet. You have a king that unrobes himself to sit down and do that. He's taking himself from what everyone saw him as to serve. And same thing, it doesn't matter where you come from or what you think your position in life is, you can always serve somebody to help them down the road.
Always. Yeah, I hated that. It's still, it's funny to me now that they acted like that. And the funny ending to that story, fast forward, I've been sober for so long, and in my professional career, I'd done something. I was chosen to be on some leadership, whatever it was, and so I was being recognized for something. And that university was actually holding the service for us, holding the I don't know what,
like a ceremony, kind of ceremony,
like the luncheon, and I was like, oh God. But anyways, so I had been sober and I'd gotten my life back on track, and I was with, I don't know, somebody with the bank, one of the presidents with the bank, and he said, Spencer, have you met so-and-so? And it turned out to be that same guy from that university that said I needed to leave. And when he turned around to quote-unquote meet me, you would have thought he saw a ghost, and I'm sure he had to go change his diaper.
Yeah.
Because you could just see it, and I loved it. I wanted to be like, say some words to him, but I was like, oh no, pleasure. Just acted like I never met him before. But it was really funny and ironic to kind of throw a finger at him politely.
Yeah.
This finger, peace sign finger.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, before we close this end of Sober October, I think again, I think it's just so important that people, again, I think the key word that we've really talked through most of our shows is just awareness, and hopefully not only you but probably people around you, if there is an issue, if there is, I hope there's people that speak into your life that help you navigate whether um, getting help, where you need to be sober in, all those things that you would need to be successful in life. And I think that that's really, as we wrap up, that's really where we wanted to head with this. And, and that's why we're doing this show, is that there's so many aspects of being better every day. And I think a lot of times, sometimes we need clarity, and we need some cleaning out, so to speak, of what's going on right in the middle of life, that we need to kind of back up and go, okay, where are these places that I can't, like even for me, I told my wife, I said, I'm not myself right now, because my schedule, everything's been so crazy last 2 weeks for me. And so I said, I need today to go, okay, I need to write down, I need to clarify some things, I need to step back so I can get things back in motion the way that I like them to be, because I can be more optimal that way. And I think for a lot of us, again, Sober October is not just, hey, you have a serious problem, whatever it may be, you need to do this. And some of it is just to be better, to clean out some things that you may want to. I mean, if it's, hey, picking up some exercise, or hey, eating a little better, hey, whatever it may be. And so, I'm not saying, you can gauge that as you will. So.
Yeah, I think it's important for us to, just for somebody who's kind of walked through some stuff, I think it's important to find somebody that's like-minded and that might be wanting to change their habits like you are. That way you can hold each other accountable. You can be a resource for each other. You can be, you can motivate each other. It gives you somebody to kind of sound off to, kind of air out things. And then I think also on the flip side of that, it's up to you and I to be kind enough, aware enough, humble enough, considerate enough, empathetic enough, not sympathetic, but empathetic enough, people to other people, to where if they might be wanting to change their habits, or if they are struggling with something, that they feel comfortable enough knowing that they can come to us and talk about it, ask some questions. Maybe we might not be the resource for that specific habit, but we can help them find somebody that can help. They can offer some guidance, right? And so I think it's important for all of us, to do both, to be those two outlets, or those two individuals, right? In everything we do. So those that are fighting towards making themselves better in anything, it doesn't have to be alcohol. And like you said, it doesn't have to be this big, like, oh, I'm really struggling. It could be like, I just need some help. It's important for us to live in such a way that those people can feel comfortable coming to us, and know that we're not going to judge them.
Yeah.
We're here to serve.
Yeah. It goes back to that whole community aspect of feeling like you can be, you're not alone in this. And even like you said, if you're around somebody that's not going through it, they're still there to help you through whatever, and to, like you said, connect you with someone that may or may have gone through that. So, but we just encourage you guys as we wrap up, just, hey, if there's something this month that you're really wanting to get a hold of, clean out, do those things, clear your mind, do those things that you need to do. And I hope that you have a wonderful October. And this kind of wraps up our Sober October part, but hopefully you've enjoyed this time. We'll be back next week with another great show. So I hope you can tune in. YouTube, all the platforms are audio, and we'll just catch you next time. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.